guys, so deloads are a necessary tool. So deload is like a springboard for you to maximize muscle gain and fat loss. Full training in the description box below. So this is the 1 week segment for the deload to maximize central nervous system recovery before I am starting to push my body to gain as much muscle as possible after age of 50 without getting too chubby. So the main goal here is to let the physique rest, heal any minor injuries, and get primed for a bulk. I disagree with some of the gurus keeping the same training in the bulking, cutting, and maintenance season. Well, take it logically. Why should you train with the balls to the wall if you are in a 8 to 12 weeks health phase when your main goal is to hold onto mass already built? Also, I'm 51 and have experience. So we're starting today with U-bar lat pull down. I like to sit a little bit further away so my torso is straight down, pointing straight down, and I'm not yanking the bar all the way down to my stomach or belly button, because this will break the line of force and will force your elbows to point backward instead of down, and will roll your shoulders forward. So this will shift the stress entirely on off your lats and onto your front deltoids and rotator cuffs. So yeah, another mistake I've seen is leaning back excessively in swinging your upper body backward to yank the weight down using momentum. So keep your torso relatively upright, brace your core, lock your thighs tightly under the roller pads, and pull with your upper body fixed in place. When you let your elbows flare out wide to the sides or rotate internally during the pulling phase, you will activate the upper traps, rear delts and biceps rather than targeting the lats. So drive your elbows straight down and slightly inward, as if you are trying to slide them directly into your back pocket. Another one would be death gripping the bar and mentally focusing on pulling the weight down with your hands. So because your forearm and biceps take over the lift, causing your arms to fatigue you long before your back is fully stimulated. So treat your hands purely as hooks. Lead the movement by depressing your shoulder blades first, then focus entirely on driving your elbows down toward your hips. So next exercise in today's pull day, when you train back, real delts and biceps, are shrugs. Shrugs will develop your trapezius muscles on the back. So the common mistakes to avoid is if you move dumbbells in circular motion, it does not help build the traps. Instead, it will add stress to your shoulder joints. Also, I'm trying not to bend the elbows too much, because flexing the biceps to pull the dumbbells higher shifts the tension to your arms and risks the bicep strains. Also, the movement should be smooth, so using momentum to bounce or heave excessive weight limits your range of motion and will strain your neck. As you see, I'm not staying strictly vertical, but I'm using the bench. So the forward hinge will align the muscle fibers more effectively, and you can feel the trapezius to work more. As in my case, I can feel it more. I feel the burning sensation. So the next exercise is cable pullover. When I'm doing this exercise, I'm trying not to lock my arms completely, or conversely bending my elbows too much and pressing the weight down, because bending and extending your arms will turn this exercise into a triceps extension. So keep a fixed slight bend in your elbows throughout the entire movement. Think about driving your elbows down toward your hips rather than pushing the weight with your hands. So as you see, that my torso is almost stationary, but if you do start to thrust your hips or swing your upper body to help pull the weight down, this will shift the focus away from the back muscles. So it will be another mistake. So just hinge slightly at the hips and brace your core and keep the motion controlled If you struggle with swinging, try doing this exercise while kneeling. And also the last one, if you let the cable snap back up quickly at the end of the rep, especially on the final rep of the set. So control the eccentric or upward phase of the lift and slowly guide the weight back to the starting position. So the next exercise is a real delts cable fly. There are often a neglected small muscle group, and this exercise is quite good for it. So if you start pinching your shoulder blades together at the peak of the movement, this will completely shift tension from your real delts to your traps and mid-back. So keep your shoulders blades slightly protracted, like spread apart. Imagine like reaching outward towards the walls rather than pulling straight back.
At this moment, when your hand pass your torso, the real delt lose their mechanical advantage
and will force the upper back to take over. So the best way will be stop the movement when your arms are roughly in line with your shoulders. Also flexing your elbows as you pull and straightening them as you return. Well, turning a fly into row recruits the biceps. So lock your elbows in a soft position. Slide 10 to 15 degrees bend and freeze the joint angle from start to finish.
So I'm still continuing on the real delts cable fly, but now for a change, I switch to unilateral movement. I don't know, in my case, I can
feel my real delts working. I can feel them more when I do it unilaterally, but you can try both ways, with both hands or just one. But another important thing here again, it's you have to set the cables that you will engage the real delts. So if you put it on the too low or steep angle, it will be incorrect. So set the cables
at or slightly above shoulder height. The line of the cable must perfectly match the natural path of your arm swing, and this exercise will rush all the nutrients into your real delts, and it will give you nice bolder shoulder looks. If the real delts are undeveloped, then it would be never this look achieved. Also going through the deload, but however, in September I have a Irish Classic competition,
or PCA. So I'm preparing now for it. So we'll start to put some muscle on, and we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you guys updated, and I'll keep the vlog of my process.
Yeah, so after finishing back and real delts, we move on to the second part of the training, and it's the biceps.
And we start with incline dumbbell curl. I don't know, I love this exercise. I've seen it so many times performed by Arnold and old school bodybuilders. Some mistakes I've seen is when curling, some lifters would swing upper arm forward during the curling phase, excessively swinging forward. So because moving the elbows removes this stretch entirely. So lock your elbows in place behind your rib cage and keep your upper arms completely vertical or so and still throughout the entire rep. I like to set my bench at about 30 degrees, but if you put it too low, like a very low angle, a steep drop will force your shoulders into extreme hyperextension. So this can strain the biceps tendon and anterior, means front, shoulder joint capsule. So keep the bench as I do it, and your arms should hang naturally without any sort of pain. So failing to you have to fully extend your arms at the bottom of the movement. However, I can't do it because I have impingement in my right elbow. So as long as your mobility and flexibility allows, go for it.
Yeah, just lately I started to do unilateral biceps cable curl. I don't know, I can feel my biceps
all the way on the full range of motion. So I can feel my biceps engaged on the all the way up and down. I'm trying to not to swing my torso back and forth and use momentum, because doing swinging, it will shift the load away from the biceps and straight to the lower back. So just I'm keeping slightly away from the machine, bracing my core and stand perfectly still, not allowing the elbows to swing forward, because this will engage the front deltoid. So lock your elbows closely to your torso, focus strictly on bringing your forearm up to meet your biceps. Okay. Also, subconsciously curling the wrists inward toward your chest turns the movement into like forearm exercise, because this will cause your forearms to fatigue you and sometimes can even cramp. So maintain a flat, neutral wrist alignment throughout the entire rep, and also go for the full range of motion, as long as your flexibility and pains allows you, you know. So I'm an old 51-year-old man, so I have my aches and this, so I have to work around it sometimes.
And the last exercise today for the biceps was the spider curls.
I don't see this exercise performed very often in the gym where I'm going to. However, this is great exercise. You can feel the biceps very well, at least in my case. Another mistakes here, just here is very important, the weight. Okay, so you have to select the weight that is not too heavy. Okay, so you can focus on the biceps, not to focus on moving the weight. Okay, so lower the weight and pick a load where you can comfortably manage 12 to 15 reps with perfect control and zero momentum. Some guys I noticed they would do like half reps by failing to let their arms hang completely straight at the bottom. So stopping early will deny the biceps a full stretch. So you will miss out on crucial muscle fiber recruitment and deep growth stimulation. So just lower the weight all the way down until your arms are dead straight before beginning the next repetition. And also the cadence of the repetitions are important. So dropping the weight quickly during the lower phase and skipping the hold at the top. So explode up smoothly. So this is the whole training for today. If you are interested in coaching, shoot me an email on ivanfrohlich@yahoo.com. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and have a great time.